Title: The Perils of Presumption. The human mind is a wondrous, intricate machine, constantly churning out thoughts, ideas, and, more often than not, assumptions. It's a natural process, a cognitive shortcut, a way to navigate the overwhelming deluge of information we encounter every day. But assumptions are also dangerous, ticking time bombs waiting to explode and scatter fragments of misunderstanding, hurt, and chaos. Let me take you on a journey through the labyrinth of assumptions. Imagine, if you will, a mind racing at 1,000 miles per hour, faster even, like yours and mine. Perhaps, a mind fueled by the rapid fire of attention, or perhaps the lack of it, hyper-focused one moment, scattered the next. This is the fertile ground where assumptions grow, often unchecked, like weeds sprouting in a neglected garden. As humans, we crave understanding. We seek patterns and predictability in a world that is anything but. It's in our nature to fill in the gaps, to make sense of the unknown by drawing from our past experiences, our biases, and our fears. And this is where the danger lies. These mental shortcuts, these assumptions, are not rooted in reality but in a concoction of half-truths and incomplete stories. Presumptions are dangerous because they shape our reality before it has a chance to reveal itself. We assume we know what others think, how they feel, what they intend. We project our insecurities and desires onto them, constructing a version of events that suits our narrative. But the truth? It's elusive, hidden behind the veil of our own making. Take, for instance, the friend who hasn't returned your call. The mind, racing as it does, might assume the worst. They're angry, they don't care, they've moved on. The story builds momentum, every passing hour adding fuel to the fire of insecurity. And by the time they finally call, with a perfectly reasonable explanation, life got busy, they lost their phone, they needed time, the damage is done. The assumption has tainted the interaction, sowing seeds of doubt where there were none before. Or consider the colleague who seems distant at work. The mind, ever quick to judge, might leap to conclusions. They are upset with you. They are plotting against you. They are unhappy. But perhaps they are simply lost in their own thoughts, battling their own demons, oblivious to the impact of their demeanor on others. The assumption becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy as your behavior towards them shifts, strained by the imagined conflict. The irony, of course, is that we often see through the assumptions of others with clarity, calling out their presumptions with a casual no shit, Sherlock, yet we remain blind to the assumptions we make ourselves, the ones that seem so justified, so real in the heat of the moment. It's easier to recognize the bullshit in others than to confront it in our own thinking. In the end, assumptions are born of fear and uncertainty. They thrive in the absence of clarity, in the shadows where facts are few and imagination reigns. To assume is to take a leap into the unknown, blindfolded, and hope for the best. But more often than not, we land far from the truth. Our perceptions twisted and our relationships strained. So, what is the solution? How do we tame the wild horses of assumption that gallop through our minds? The answer lies in mindfulness, in the practice of pausing before we leap, of questioning our thoughts before they solidify into beliefs. It requires humility, the willingness to admit that we might be wrong, that we don't have all the answers, that our mind, racing as it does, can lead us astray. We must learn to embrace the uncertainty, to sit with the discomfort of not knowing, rather than filling the void with assumptions. It's a hard task, one that requires constant vigilance, but it's the only way to break free from the cycle of presumption. And as our story winds to a close, let's return to the speeding mind, the one that races at 1,000 miles an hour, faster even, the one that's plagued by attention disorders, by the relentless pull of distraction. It's easy for such a mind to become ensnared by assumptions, to be led astray by the allure of easy answers. But with practice, with patience, even this mind can learn to slow down, to question, to breathe. In the end, the only thing we can be certain of is uncertainty itself. Everything else is just a story we tell ourselves, sometimes accurate, often not. And in that space between what is and what we imagine, lies the potential for both connection and conflict, for truth and deception. So, are you having a go at me? Perhaps. Or perhaps it's just another assumption, another story spun from the threads of a mind in overdrive. The truth, as always, remains elusive, just beyond our grasp. And that, my friend, is the bullshit we must navigate every day. In life, it's easy to be right, but it's far more valuable to be open to the unknown, to the possibility of being wrong, and to the endless complexity of the human experience.